for the top 10 worst.
Now is maybe the best part or the worst part of the video.
So this one, I know my list is going to upset some people.
Yes.
So I
And
already
this list is
mentioned.
probably going to be a whole lot longer than mine too, because, like we've said before, we both have regular jobs. So one of our jobs offers us more free time than the other. So I may not have as many movies on my worst list as I did in my best list.
Okay, so most of my the first five in my top 10 are more movies that could have been good, or some were pretty good, but they just didn't weren't they didn't they didn't go into the places that they should have to make this some really good movies.
Mm-hmm.
So they're more disappointments than they are actual bad movies.
Okay.
Okay, so for my number 10 worst movies of 2017 is Kong Skull Island. What? It was still, I mean, like I said, it's more of a disappointment than it is a bad movie.
It's not a disappointment. I thought that movie was good.
I mean, I thought it was good. I thought it was good and I enjoyed it. But it didn't quite go the places that I felt like it could have gone. Maybe, I don't know.
How so?
I don't know. It was.
They tied it very well into Godzilla.
I thought some of the characters were kind of disposable. They weren't well developed, especially Tom Hiddleston's character and definitely Brie Larson's character. They were just kind of cutouts
they
put
were,
in there.
I can see what you're saying. They were just playing types.
Right.
Yeah, I can see why you're saying that.
So that's what I felt like, because in the original King Kong stories, the human characters. I mean, it was almost like what's that? The Shape of Water ish.
Mm-hmm.
How the relationship between the female character, I don't know what her name is, and Kong and all that. There's that, and there's nothing really like that. The sympathy that the humans felt for Kong, it was somewhat developed, but it didn't feel like it was completely believable in the end. I feel like he was still a nuisance for them that they needed to protect themselves from. But I
think that plays to the fact that they revealed that he's young.
Right.
The Kong in this movie is not even full grown yet.
Right.
So we haven't seen him fully realized yet.
Yeah. So the sympathy that they felt toward them towards the last act of the movie felt forced a little bit, but yeah, I mean that's all. It was more just there's more things that they could have done with this movie to put this across the board a great movie, but it was just a slight disappointment.
I would put Kong Skull Island in like an honorable mention in my opinion, because I actually enjoyed it a lot. It was very surprising to see, because it was a very unique take to do a Vietnam style Kong movie.
Yeah.
And actually execute very well that goal.
Yeah. Well, the only reason why it's in this category right now is because I did have that slight feeling of underwhelmment in the movie.
Okay.
Not so much at the end. I felt like some of it had made up for it, and that it was still a good movie, an enjoyable movie, and I still suggest people see this movie because it's definitely better than Godzilla. But
you didn't like Godzilla?
Not at all.
Oh! You one of those? Okay.
But
I enjoyed Godzilla too, by the way.
Dang. Okay. Well, then that's why you like this one so much, because you can compare the two.
Yeah,
because it was definitely a superior movie, but like I said, I was underwhelmed with it.
I actually enjoyed Godzilla a lot because the fact that like they didn't overload you with the monster fights. They actually made it feel like you're running away from these things. You didn't want to be there when they showed up, and I appreciated that feeling. Like, oh, Godzilla's here. We don't want to be here for this. Get somewhere. Get somewhere safe now. Let someone else figure that out. I want to be in a bunker somewhere where radioactive breath can't get me. And I appreciated that whole feeling of, oh, he's here. Gotta go. Get out. I appreciated that in Godzilla, and it was a very unique and bold take to not give us the monster fights, instead making us feel like, oh, we gotta go.
So do you have anything you want to throw in there for a number 10 for yourself?
I want to throw as the worst movie of 2017, Flatliners.
That's a number 1 movie. I'm just talking about a number 10 for right now.
Oh, no, something on the low end.
Yeah, something on the low end. Just something that was a little disappointing to you.
Okay, I'll start off with Justice League.
There you go. That's a good number 10.
Yeah, I'll start with Justice League. The reason why I say it's not a worse movie, but might need to fix that, because that worse implies like we like throwing trash on this movie, and we're not. But
well, that's why it's low on the worst list.
Yeah,
it's still close to this on the spectrum to good.
Yeah, but the reason why Justice League is number 10 is because I didn't feel rewarded watching it.
Right.
I didn't feel like my effort in watching all these movies to connect the threads was there.
Okay.
Like, when Justice League started, it was just like, okay, he's chasing a dude on the roof. He's caught said dude. And, supernatural element just shows up. Not addressed in any other movie. It's just here now. And the characters act like it's common knowledge now. It is not common knowledge to us, but it's... These things are in the city now, and Batman has to stop them. And he already figured out one way to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess they were trying to go for the as time passes, so does the story being told kind of thing, but no. Show us how these elements began.
Got you. Well, that's pretty funny, because that's actually my number 9 on my worst list, is that. So... we don't need to go any more detail than that. If you guys want to know more, watch our DCE State of the DCEU video, or even watch our Justice League review videos. We have spoiler and non-spoiler reviews for that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and we've already talked in slight detail, more detail than we needed to about it so far this episode. But yeah, that's my number 9 is the Justice League, and for all the reasons that you've stated and that we've already stated before. So now I'm going to my number 8. Was Blade? I put Blade Runner. Okay, never mind. I'll talk about that later. I'm pretty sure I said that already. Anyway, Valerian, City of a Thousand Planets.
Did not see Valerian at City of a Thousand Planets. Wanted to see Valerian, but scared away by the reviews.
Yeah. I don't know. The movie was amazing. It was so beautiful. What's his name? Luc Besson did such a great job visualizing this film. What he didn't do such a good job was in the casting of this film. Dane DeHaan felt hugely miscast. And I actually liked Cara Delevingne in this movie. I thought she was great. Rihanna was in this movie for some strange reason. And it had a very weak third act. It started going a little downhill in the second act. But it was still could have redeemed itself with a good third act, and that's where it completely falls apart. Is right there in that third act. It was about 15 minutes too long. Also, they could have cut that last 15 minutes out, and it would have been still a pretty good movie. But either way, Valerian could have been a great movie. And it should have been a great movie for the several $100 million that this movie cost to make. One of the most expensive French film or European film. I think it's French film ever made. So, yes, that was Valerian, City of a Thousand Planets. That is my number 8. Okay. Number 7. And that is Hitman's Bodyguard.
Okay, I see why you have that on there. Again, another movie I wanted to see, but then the reviews came out. It was like, do I really?
Oh, I mean,
because you have to take into account this is before the certain thing came out,
right?
The movie pass.
Yes.
So I would have that paid out of pocket for some of these, and I said, nah.
my biggest problem with the Hitman's Bodyguard was that it was one of those movies that felt like it was rushed. All the funny parts were in the trailer, and they were barely hitting in the trailer. So, and then whenever it was a competently made movie, but it still played it safe. It just felt like something he had seen a million times, and there was just nothing special.
You say if it felt like it looked like it came out in the 90s.
Yes, it looked like it should have came out a long time ago.
It was like a script someone blew off the dust on and said, Samuel Jackson and Ryan Reynolds is hot right now. Put them in this.
Yeah. So, Yeah, very much like
Just
that.
update the tech, and that's it.
Yep. So not much needs to be said about that. That was my number 7, and number 6, Baywatch. Baywatch, I thought was actually a lot. It was pretty funny. I thought the funny parts worked a lot in this movie, and there were some more funny parts that weren't. They put a lot of the scenes that were in this movie in the trailers and all the marketing for this movie. You saw so much of it, and they still managed to have a few funny parts in the movie, but it's still complete garbage.
It's garbage that put a smile on my face even in this.
So even more so than Hitman's Bodyguard did, but still, maybe those two should switch places. But either way, the Baywatch is still real absolute trash.
It seems like Lord and Miller figured out the whole TV show into a movie thing.
Yes.
By just blatantly throwing the elements that baited the TV show in your face.
Yes.
Like the whole 21 Jump Street being the address. Okay, we called the movie 22 Jump Street. We moved across the street. Then all of a sudden, they're building a new building across the street on guess what? 23 Jump Street.
Yes.
Okay, this is how we're rolling.
So, and guys, if you're curious why movies like Transformers or Triple X or anything aren't on this list, it's because
one, I actually kind of enjoyed Triple X.
Okay. Well, you enjoyed Triple X, but also because I didn't see those movies. I somehow managed to skip a lot of garbage this year.
Oh, but side note, full disclosure about Triple X. I saw Triple X for free.
Really?
Really.
How's that?
Vin Diesel sent out like a email to AMC customers where there was a free ticket to Triple X inside the email.
Okay.
So I saw Triple X: The Return of Xander Cage for free, and I kind of liked it.
Man,
if that says I have terrible taste in movies, then guess what? I have terrible taste in movies.
Well, now I've done lost where I'm at in this list. Where am I at on this list now?
We just talked about Baywatch.
Okay, so Baywatch. Okay, so now that means we're at number 5. Am I going into 5 now?
I think this is 5 because 6 was Baywatch, 7 was Hitman's Bodyguard, 8 was Valerian, 9 Justice League, and 10 was.
10 was the one that you totally disagreed with me on.
Oh, Kong Skull Island.
Yes. Okay. All right. So Baywatch. So now I'm in the top 5.
Or the bottom 5.
And this one is such a disappointment that it's on this list. But there's no getting around it or denying it. And that's Kingsman Golden Circle. It was a pretty bad sequel. I know.
There goes my terrible taste in movies kicking in again.
I mean, it was just, I don't know. There was just so many elements that they thought that we liked so much in the first, and then they were so much more in your face this time. And then there was the whole bad guy stuff that just didn't work for me.
I'm not saying I disagree with you about Kingsman. This one did feel a little weaker than the last Kingsman movie. But I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I still enjoyed it a lot. I didn't have a scene like the church scene in this one, but what scene can really top the church scene?
Right.
That scene has reached like Broly Brawl levels of iconic. From like the Broly Brawl from the Matrix, it's reached that moment of iconic, where it was like something you always point a reference to when you think of action scenes.
Yes. So, I mean, like I said, guys, I didn't get to see a lot of bad movies this year, so these are just the worst movies that I have seen this year.
Movies that he personally thought was bad.
Yes.
So you want to rag on him in the comments, you can.
Yes. So, because I watched a lot of good movies this year, that's why these are the worst ones, because there's so
They got to go somewhere.
They got to go somewhere on these lists. So, that was Kingsman Golden Circle number 5. Mm-hmm. Number 4... and that was another one that I was a little hesitant about putting on the list. That was Fast and the Furious 8.
Did not see Fast 8. I wanted to see Fast 8.
That movie was enjoyable. and I'm going to see everything else after this still.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
They've got me for life, I believe by now.
They got all of us by a little bit. If you're at this point, if you're arguing about, wow, that was dumb, you don't go see these movies.
Yes.
They're not making these for you no more. They turned their brain off back at 5.
Yep.
After 5, they just did what they wanted, and everybody was like, okay, if this is where we at, it is what it is.
Yep. So, yep, that's Fast and the Furious 8.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm at number 3.
We're getting to the real nitty gritty now.
Okay, so the 3 worst movies that I've seen this year. Number 3. And these are actually bad movies now.
We actually really reached actual bad movies now. Not just disappointments. Bad.
Okay. So number 3, and it was still a disappointment, but it was no denying it was a bad movie. And that's The Greatest Showman. Gosh, you guys saw how disappointed I was last week, right?
Yes. We saw.
I was mad. And I mean, like I said, the other ones in this list are somewhat disappointment, but they're also not surprised like Fast and Furious.
Mm-hmm.
But this was genuine disappointment for an absolute garbage movie. And I mean, it's not absolute garbage because, like I said, there's so many elements that worked in this movie. It's just the director, and the director just did such a bad job that it pulls so much down. And that's the Greatest Showman. I'm so genuinely upset that this should have been in my top 3 best for the year, because it had so little work that they actually had to do to get it there for me.
Mm-hmm.
They just couldn't make those
excited. He was excited to see this movie to go see it. All the movie had to do was not be bad.
Yes.
And it was bad, so he's double mad.
Right.
They didn't have to do anything. He was like, Hugh Jackman in the musical about P.T. Barnum?
This could have just been the Greatest Showman concert movie, and it would have been there for me.
Mm-hmm.
All it had to do was just show them singing these songs, and it would have been better. And it had so little work to do in that department for me.
And they failed.
Yes, and they failed.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, if you're done, can you monitor our comments?
Yeah,
if you're done with your list.
Oh yeah, because I have a number. Like I said before we got into our worst list, I didn't see many movies this year because work and financial reasons. But my number 3 worst movie is Flatliners.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the reason why I put Flatliners is because it was just boring.
Yeah.
Boring and predictable is 2 bad things. And then this movie was both.
Yeah. So your review and everyone else's review following yours was one of the reasons why it's not on my list, because I didn't go see it.
Yeah. Don't even waste your money on the Blu-ray coming out in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Don't even, if you see it in Redbox, rent the newest Teletubby movie or something. Rent something else. Don't give Flatliners your money.
Yeah. All right. So my number 2 is I'm already blanking on the movie. Death Note. My number 2 is Death Note.
I actually watched the entire Death Note anime from beginning to end.
Really?
I did. And Death Note, the American version, is nothing like the anime at all. Nothing.
See, I didn't really mind if they strayed a little bit. I mean, they could have told a completely different story, and that probably would have been better.
It would have been a whole lot better than what they did.
Yeah, if they just completely just took some of the elements from Death Note and
you could have just told a completely different story instead of the trash they gave us.
Yeah, there's just some stuff that can't be translated over from the anime. Like I don't remember the character's name, the one that was like the detective guy. I have already blanked on his name.
Yeah, but everything in the anime was
K. Is it K or something? L. Yeah.
Everything in the anime was done way, and I have to stress it again, way better.
Right.
I actually tried. My little sister and I tried to watch the Death Note movie. We couldn't do it. It was
Yeah.
just that bad, and that's why it's my number 2.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
man.
And so we're in agreement. Death Note number 2.
Okay, so
I really recommend you watch the Death Note anime at least.
I'll try to.
Yeah,
I've
it's only
never
like
been an anime
26,
person.
27 episodes. It's not long at all, and it's very well done. Like in the anime, they have time to actually play the cat and mouse game.
Man. Okay. Number 1, and this is no surprise because we've talked about this one on the show not too long ago, and I gave it a very, very poor rating, and that was Daddy's Home 2. Absolute pile of dog trash.
Dog trash.
Yes. There's no.
That should be a stamp on the screen. Dog
Which is
trash.
funny because, I mean, I don't think Daddy's Home would have ever made it in my top 10, but it at least would have been an honorable mention, the first one. I liked Daddy's Home, the first one, but this one was, they tried to make it a family movie while also trying to be edgy, and it became awkward and didn't work, and then it just, oh my goodness. Then they tried to, I don't know, it's such a headache of a film. And it was such a waste of talent. John Lithgow, needs to stop making movies like this because he's going to be hurting his legacy for me. Not that he had such an impressive legacy to begin with, but I mean, he was still a very honorable actor, I think. At least in my mind, he was considered an honorable actor before he started doing these Pitch Perfect 3s and this movie. So yeah, these are my top 10. So there's some surprises that were left off this list that are going to be on honorable mentions.
Did you forget about my number 1?
What's your number 1?
I think it's pretty obvious.
You already did Flatliners. You already did.
Boo
2. Oh yeah. You're the one that saw that one. I didn't see that one.
I suffered through Boo 2.
Man. Oh, goodness. Yeah, you did.
I suffered through that whole thing, and I want my time, and I want my energy back.
Oh, yeah, I apologize for that. That's probably the worst movie of the year in general.
No, Death Note. And
Death Note still?
Death Note's still worse. Because at least Boo 2 was doing something. I don't know what Death Note was trying to do. Because they added... Because Death Note... As a matter of fact, I'm flipping. Death Note's number 1.
Okay.
The reason why Death Note's number 1 is because because Death Note was like such a well-written story.
Right.
It had mystery, horror, comedy. Hell, there was a lot going on in Death Note, the anime. It's really well done. And the character is... The way they portrayed Light in the Netflix movie is nothing like the way he's portrayed in the anime. In the anime, he's more... he's pretty much in control of everything. Like, as soon as he gets the book, it's almost like he's controlling everything. It was like he was always like a well put together dude, but that book was like giving him the final puzzle piece.
See, the part that makes me so mad about Death Note is one, because I know how much people love the original material. But the other is that I liked the trailer for it. I thought the trailer was really neat for the Netflix one. But then red flags started just going up as soon as I saw that the runtime for it was like only 80 minutes. Like, how are they going to cover all of that in 80 minutes? And they don't cover it all in 80 minutes.
They don't.
There were so many montage scenes that just skip over so many things. I was like, why am I not seeing this stuff? Why are you skipping over all of this?
Yeah, because there's a whole element into the other story where he portrays where he takes the persona, the Kira persona, and all this and all like that. And it's very well done. The way it's done in the anime is like, Kira's almost like a god in the anime. And even though we know who it actually is, it's almost like they revere Kira and they are afraid of him. But it's very well done. I really recommend that the anime gets checked out and the Netflix movie gets thrown in the same bin with Dragon Ball Evolution. The same bin with what's another movie they tried to make an anime out of? Speed Racer.
Speed Racer, yes.
It gets thrown in the Speed Racer, Last Airbender bin. Throw it in that bin. I hope Alita Battle Angel doesn't go in that bin.
It's looking like it will. I don't know.
But it's going to be an expensive movie, but it's going in the bin.
Yep. So, guys, I ask you to be kind in the comments for my top 10 worst movies. Mm-hmm. I normally would ask you guys to leave me some feedback, but now I'm a little hesitant about it because I don't completely agree with my list, but literally I skipped so many bad movies that I had to put good movies on my worst list.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, you could have just not put them there at all.
No. It had to happen. It had to happen.
If it had to happen, then don't get mad at the feedback.
It just has to be. There has to be an opposite end of the spectrum.
For every yin, there's a yang.
And there is some, like I said, there's some legitimate. You can talk about that top three. That top three was complete garbage movies. Mm-hmm. But for real,
7 through 10.
I didn't see Emoji Movie.
Oh.
I didn't see Transformers.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see Dark Tower. So come on, yeah. I skipped some of these bad movies. I didn't see the Geostorm.
Hey.
So if you're asking where that was at on my list, I didn't see it.
Hey, can we do a